Hey everyone, we are here. It is time. It is time. We're going to do some cool stuff. We are going to be talking about Capshow today. And if you came to yesterday's show, I just remembered I forgot about something that I did the first time. I'm going to put it back real quick and I'm going to do it live because I'm Doc and this is what I do. I'm going to make a little thing right here, go blank, and then I'm going to insert in. We have a couple things I want to point you out to. This is our challenge, and in our challenge, we are going to have some prizes available. Do you understand that? We are going to have some prizes available. We want to make sure that you're doing all the things, paying attention, join the Facebook group, and be a part of the community as we do this, and then you're going to get badges. And one of the first ways to get your first badge is going to be, all you need to do is make sure you have your trial for Capshow and your trial for Ecamm. If you're an active user, well, you already won because you're not even a trial. You're an active user. So if you're like me and you have both, then you get a badge. So I want to make sure everybody get a badge. So the only way to get these prizes is to get a badge. And to get a badge, you got to make sure you have done both of these. Okay? So that's it. That's it. That's how hard this is. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start this 21-day challenge, and we're trying to get you ready. So yesterday, in case you missed it, on both of these channels, you can go back and see the stream where I showed you how to use Ecamm. I got that part wired. I want to say expert. I don't like that word, but I'm pretty dope inside of Ecamm. I get inside Capshow, and then I look like I'm trying to fly in a 747. So I invited my friends to come along and teach us how to use Capshow. So first thing we want to do is say hello to Jenny. Hey, Jenny.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Jenny's going to help us. And Paul is telling, oh, that is why Jenny is so smart. Hold on.
What?
Wait. You're a genius. I got it. I know. Bing, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong. That is it. Now I got it. All right. Anyway, so then, hey, Bonna.
Hello. I was not ready, clearly.
Yes. No. Okay, wait. So let me show you. The reason why I said you're smart, I'm in my headphones, so to me, I sound like me. I sound like I'm coming through this. You said I didn't sound like my normal, voice of God self. And it was that I plugged in my new little camera over here, which is really, now he's broken. I plugged in my new cute little camera because I was doing some testing and the mic was using this tiny little wee dot in comparison to this lovely microphone. So you heard it. I couldn't hear it. I was like, okay, maybe it was just Zoom's processing. But no, it was Doc being dumb. So there's that. So listen, I'm glad this happened so you guys can know that it doesn't matter. Why is that?
It doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be perfect. Bonna, do you have the tab open?
Which tab, sir?
Yeah, she's
YouTube. Yeah, she's got slapback.
Okay, now what about now?
Is this better?
Yeah, I think so.
No, it says that you're coming through twice.
Yeah.
I'm coming through
Is it
twice?
just Bonna or is it Bonna and Jenny?
Is it me too? Am I
what about now, people?
Or was it fixed? Paul says it's fixed.
Paul says it's fixed. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Man, listen, this is why I don't hang out with Bonna, because this twice today.
I am a problem child.
Hey, yo, we are from the same egg, so there's that. I am definitely the problem child, as Paul and Luis. They would tell you. They would tell you right away. Okay, so we're going to get into showing you how to use Capshow. I started messing around maybe like last August, so it's almost been a year for me, and it's really cool. I've done some things, and then in the middle of messing around with it, I was like, okay, I'm going to go deeper. So I hit up DJ and I was like, hey, I want to do X, Y, Z, and she's like, wait a minute, we're just going to like rearrange all of the furniture. Do not come in here drunk at night. You're going to stub a toe. And then I'm like, what? And she's like, don't touch anything. We're going to rearrange the furniture. Holy crap. They blew up the whole house and rebuilt it. They rebuilt it from scratch. And that's what we're doing. We're teaching you about NextGen. NextGen, it is super rad. So I'm going to go hide. And Luis, wait, I have to show this to Luis. I copied Luis and I made the Luis button. So you guys are in charge. I'm gonna be hiding over here being Luis. Be like, hey, Doc and Katie, you forgot to do the sponsor read. See the things that you learn hanging out with Luis. So yeah, let's talk about Capshow. Let's talk about what it is, and like then we'll get into how to use it. Let's go.
Oh, so cool, so cool. Well, I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit that, by the way, I'm Jenny. Apparently, I'm the chief badass something or other, but I'm the director of affiliates and partnerships at Capshow. And I came into Capshow as like a user, just like everybody else. And I loved the product. I actually love the platform so much. And I slowly cajoled and got them to bring me on the team so that I could eventually just, talk about this thing pretty much full time. So that's my role. But I've got to say that Capshow is a really great platform for if you've got a podcast, if you're a content creator, if you're looking to create content on a regular basis and you're kind of tired of some of the outputs that you're seeing from some of the basic AIs and stuff. So I'm really glad to say that, rebuilding it from scratch and having you not come in the room as the drunk guy at night. What was that? Drunk guy at night? Was probably the best decision that they made because the rebuild is amazing. So Bono, I'm gonna like that's my spiel, but I want to get it back over to you because you know all the details.
Amazing. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Doc. I'm going to have a hard time concentrating because I didn't realize how funny you were, Doc. So there you go. So I'm going to be giggling a lot. But so nice to meet everyone or virtually meet everyone. My name is Bona. I am one of the 3 co-founders here at Capshow. So many of you may be familiar with Deidre, my co-founder. She's the face of the business. So this is a little bit different for me, but I thought I'd come on here and really kind of, as instructed by both Katie and Doc, really get into the detail of what Capshow is, what it can do, who it's for, and how you can make the most of it, especially as part of the challenge, because you're going to have the daily opportunity to use it. Before I get into the tool itself, actually, you're right. My official title is Chief Something or Other, which is very, very accurate because I do a bit of everything. So I am actually going to change this on my LinkedIn profile. It's much more accurate to what I do at Capshow. So just a little bit of background in terms of, is that Doc giggling in the background?
Sorry.
Yeah, producer button. So before I get into the detail of the tool and what it does, like Doc said, we have completely rebuilt it from scratch. So if you're completely new to Capshow, don't worry about it. It is, what you see right now is going to be what it's going to be for a while. But if you have discovered it in the past, maybe even used it, it looks very radically different to what it used to. And I want to share a little bit more about kind of how it came to be and why that is the case. So basically, we're only about 2 years old, so we are newer to this game. But we originally started off with a very specific version of Capshow that was all about helping people with podcasts, do things like their show notes and promotional content very easily using AI. Now, this was pre-ChatGPT, if anyone can remember that ever. I certainly can't remember a world without ChatGPT, but this was back in those days. And really, we had a very specific premise. And what we realized in, the reason we ended up in that space, is because Deidre and myself, we were actually also had a podcast that we used to actually generate leads for our business. It was the most effective form of organic lead gen for us. So that's kind of where we started. We're not one of those AI companies that have just come from a purely tech perspective of really smart, intelligent, programmers saying, hey, let's build something really cool technically. We are actually people that had a specific problem ourselves as it related to content creation, content marketing, and lead gen from that content. And we just happened to then be able to discover really great, smart, intelligent, technical people that would help us build this thing. So Deidre, myself, and Ash, the 3 of us, our starting point is very much about we understand what content creation can be like. And it's really our aim with Capshow using the tool is for you to actually be able to take that content you put so much effort into using tools like Ecamm, obviously being in this community, putting all of this time and effort into your live streaming, your content, and how do you actually now from that point turn it into something that's actually going to continue getting you results, whatever that means, whether that's getting onto social media, whether that is once you're on social media, getting more engagement on your content, whether that is if you're already getting engagement on your content, how do you actually turn that content into things that will get you leads? That's really our focus. That's why the way that you see that the tool shapes up is that a lot of the content it creates is very strategic and intentional. which does mean that the learning curve may be a little bit steeper, which is why we always make ourselves available to help you understand how to use the tool, and how you can make the most of it depending on where you are at with your content creation and also your content marketing journey. So that's kind of like the little bit of background as to who we are and how we do it. So should I just get into the demo, Doc, or what do you think?
Yeah, let me fix something real quick because Jeannie went
Jenny's gone.
away. Bingo. Okay,
Jenny went away.
I'll be
She's
Jenny
had enough of
today,
you.
but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Well, she's busy. So there's that. Okay, so let's show off the tool, and yeah, like this is really cool. The one thing I want to make sure that everyone gets is, how do I say this? There's a lot of tools out there that are taking, your audio, your video files, and they're transcribing it, and maybe that's it. Or they're transcribing it and they're just using a generic version of the ChatGPT API to write some things. Capshow is a little different. It's almost bespoke. And the crazy part, which you'll see in a second, is how you can give it your persona, or you can help it generate a persona. Maybe you temporarily need your persona to be something else because you're a part of a challenge or you're working in a different mode. You can change that. Maybe you want it to come from the voice of your audience instead of your voice. You could actually make the persona generate the content in a different person's voice. So I can make my content from the voice of Katie, which would be nice instead of mean. And you can do that. Like it's kind of hard to describe. So I'll just let Bun show you how to do it. But yeah, it is super rad. All right, you want to share your screen? I got it.
I will. Yeah.
Cool. Now, why'd that go away?
All right.
Hold on. It's coming back. There it is.
Here we go. All right. Well, welcome to Inside Capshow. For those of you who are watching and have started your trial, this will be familiar to you. For those of you who are brand new, don't worry. There's really not much that you can get confused with. We've kept it very, very simple. So that whole thing that Doc spoke about, us burning down, that was very convoluted and difficult to navigate. So we've really stripped it back. I just want to echo Doc's point that whilst we're in the space of AI, we want to make sure that we are not contributing to helping people put what Deidre says, content vomit out into the internet, because the likes of ChatGPT and AI tools just let you generate so much content that's really generic, and we know people have very unique messages to share. So that's why the starting point for Capshow, for those of you who don't know, is always going to be your own content. Now, what that means is that when you first log into Capshow for the very first time, the first thing it will ask you is to say, let's get ready, upload your first file. So if you don't have any content yet, we're all for non-perfectionism here, even if it just means that you just kind of rant by yourself for about 20 minutes and just get all of your thoughts out. That's a fine enough starting point. If you're already creating content, then you would pick, like Jenny said, your podcast episode, your YouTube video, your live stream recording, whatever it is that actually shares your message is a great place to start. We accept both audio and video. If you do upload a video file, you'll also have the ability to create clips inside of Capshow. Obviously, that won't be available for your audio files. So yes, cannot point out enough, we're an AI tool, but a starting point is we expect you to have a piece of content that you can upload in to get started. And obviously, as part of the challenge, that's the very first thing you'll be doing, using Ecamm. So you will have no excuses. You'll have your first live stream that you can upload right into Capshow. So this is one of our demo accounts. So it's got a couple of files in here already. Obviously, yours will be completely blank. You'll see nothing in your dashboard except potential and opportunity. So what you want to do first to get started is when you get onboarded, it'll navigate you to this anyway, is to upload a file. So the purposes of this, just to show you that it really doesn't, it does matter to an extent. Obviously, we get asked a lot about what length the file is, considered best. Really, Jenny was just joking to me earlier to say that she actually uploaded a 16-second file video and it still generated everything she needed. Now, that's obviously quite an extreme situation, and she would have talked a lot and very fast in those 16 seconds to have some content. But we find anything kind of from about 5 minutes to 120 minutes is really great. So 120 is the limit that we have on Capshow. It doesn't process files longer than 120 minutes. So if you do have an exceptionally long live stream or video, then we recommend cutting it down to, within 120 minutes to the key pieces you want to actually repurpose. It doesn't have to be the fully edited version. Like I said, first rough copies work really well. And just to show you, actually, I am going to be, for this purposes, I'm actually going to be uploading a 6-minute file that is a 6-minute testimonial from one of our Capshovians, Rayshawn. So basically, you can use any content really. The primary thing here is this has to be content that you're proud of, by way of like it's content, it contains the messaging that you actually want to amplify, because the purpose of Capshow is to help you take this anchor content, as we call it, and really now turn it into 30 to 50 pieces of content. And I'll show you exactly how it does that. So we could start with something as simple as this. So I'm just going to call this. So when you're naming your file, use your naming convention, I guess, depending on how organized or not organized you are. But the main purpose of naming it is that you know exactly what file you're looking at, because hopefully you're uploading lots of things into Capshow and you want to make sure that you remember exactly what that was. So we have a naming convention where, I'll just follow, but you just go ahead and name it that, and you hit on upload. Before I do that, you will notice these minutes here. So with Capshow monthly plans, you get 300 minutes worth of uploads. So it will always, and 120 in your 14-day trial period. But obviously you guys are all on extended plans, so you get more because of the challenge. You'll always be able to see how many minutes you have available and how many minutes are going to be deducted from this upload. So in this account, I have 23 and I have 6 that's going to be uploaded now, deducted now. So you go ahead and click on upload, and then you get to this screen. Granted, we're going to do a little bit of a copywriting change on this. This is probably not the best way to describe what you're seeing, but this is where you can choose whether this is content that you created for your own stage or content that you created for someone else's stage. So this is because Capshow is also really popular use for people who do lots of, say, podcast guesting, they're speaking on stages. So, it's not necessarily something that they're creating for their channel, potentially, but it is a piece of content where they have gone and added value and shared their expertise on someone else's stage. So technically, I could ask Doc for a recording of this, and I could upload it as something that I'm using for Capshow. So in this case, this is our own content, but please know that if you are someone who you do a lot of guesting, you have a signature, talk that you do, you have been on other people's channels, you can actually repurpose that content as well. So Capshow, just let it know which one it is, and it will write the content accordingly. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and choose it as our own content. And now this is where some of the magic starts to happen. So we're really excited about this because, let me just zoom back out so it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, great. So for every upload that you put through Capshow, we will ask you to choose your persona. So you'll see here one, we've already created one for Deidre Shen, who is my co-founder. She predominantly, all of our content will be done in her persona because she's like the face and the voice of the business. But when you're new to Capshow, you'll obviously have to set yours up first. So you won't see a saved persona. You will just see the option to create a new persona. Now, as soon as you create it, you'll see them saved here. So like Doc mentioned, there's no limit to how many personas you can create. Hopefully you don't have that many split personalities that you're creating, lots and lots of them. But this is also really great for if you do have clients. A lot of our Capshovians use this for their clients, so they'll set up different personas for their clients because they're putting different files through. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to set up a new persona. So you would go ahead and click on create a new persona right here. And then we're going to go ahead and add these details. So the persona setup is set up into 2 parts. The first part is going to be more of the details that you're going to give Capshow that it's going to use as as context. So that's where you'll give it the name. So I might do me, for example. Now, this is the nickname that Capshow is just going to use to refer to you throughout. So you just want to go ahead. Usually most people will just put in their full name. And then this next little step is quite important. for you to kind of succinctly be able to give Capshow context as to who you are and what you do and who you serve. Now, this is where it really we start to get intentional because now you're telling the AI, giving it more background as to you'll know what content you're creating because you're uploading your whole file, but it's going to give you, it's going to start to set the context to say it's this context, like for example, tips on parenting, but it's specifically for people, and it could be this is where your audience will come in, who are like single parent households, for example, or faith-based, families, right? So then it will start to put that together to say, oh, I understand not just the content, but the context for that content. And that's where a lot of AI misses the mark because it kind of just gives you generic fluff about the topic. But this is where every time you apply the persona, it will apply your context of where you're coming from as well. Now, we don't want to spend too much, be too like, what's the word, wordy with all of this because then it kind of starts to lose meaning. So for someone like myself, I could say, how do I describe myself? I predominantly describe myself as a co-founder. I could write, chief, what was it? What was my official title, Doc? Something or other. But that's kind of primarily how I describe myself. In terms of what I make or do, I'll focus on the Capshow part of what I do. So I would say something like who created an AI software product. In terms of who we're talking to, obviously anyone that has any content can use Capshow, of course, but we find that we tend to speak more to people who are like content creators, entrepreneurial, and usually are podcasting, live streaming, or creating YouTube videos. So generally, but we also have the angle of their coaches, consultants, or service providers. So really, for the purposes of this, I'll go ahead and write content creators. But this is kind of where you want to really critically think about who is your primary audience, because I'm sure a lot of you are talking to lots of different people. And the key outcome that they're looking for is, would say more leads from their content. Okay, so this is a really important screen. Do take the time to give Capshow the most accurate context you can. If you are stuck, you can click here, and basically will take you to a tool that we have that my co-founder Ash built, which will basically just give you the option to put in your bio, and it will actually generate the 4 pieces for you based on your bio. Now, this will be dependent on how current your bio is. So if it's not the most current, it may be worth doing this manually. But if you do have a bio and you can't get your brain to think in this context, just go ahead and use that tool. Just click there, put in your bio, it will generate, and you can just copy and paste them directly in here. So that's a nifty little tool for those of you who might feel stuck. The next thing you want to do, the second part of your persona, is the tone of voice. So you do have a bit of an out. You can absolutely use a more generic tone of voice. We advise against it because we're AI. And I think everyone has experienced the AI tone of voice enough that it's not the most helpful. So we do have some options there, but we like 99.99% recommend you take the time to train your own. So when you click on that, you will get to this screen. What we want to do here is we want to copy and paste pieces of content that you've written. Social media and email works best. Now, I want to take a bit of time to explain this because people are like, can't I just put a copy, like my entire book in there, a transcript of my, my live stream? And we usually recommend doing short form content in here or, social media and email content, sorry, because that's where we find that your tone is most pronounced and easy to identify, whether you know it or not. So you'll find that in copy like that, you generally have certain salutations, certain intonations in your voice that sometimes is lost in like longer transcripts and things like that. You do have a 3,000 word limit, so you want to make sure that you stick to that. Sorry, 3,000 characters. I'm sorry, limit to. So you want to make sure that you stick to that. But yeah, if you can, we highly recommend using social media and email content. In terms of how many pieces, Capshow can take up to 10. So I'll just copying and pasting a caption in here, for example. It can take up to 10 pieces, so that is ideal. But if you have up to 5, that's a great starting point. Please know this is not the be all and end all, even if you put 10 pieces, because we know also your tone of voice may change over time. This is just the starting point for Capshow because, as you'll see soon, it continues to learn from you from every single edit. So don't overthink this too much. Just our recommendation is take 5 to 10 of the most recent emails and soft and social media captions you have. If you do track your metrics, then obviously choose the ones that did the best. But even if you don't track your metrics, the most important thing is that it gets a flavor of how you like to communicate. So you just go ahead and copy and paste that in there, add the entry of how many ever you want to do, and then just go ahead and click save. Once you do that, it'll be taken back to this screen and you'll see that your brand new persona will be ready to go. So you'll go ahead and select that. In this next field, you want to also let Capshow know whether this particular episode or this particular video or file had any guests. So this is where it'll start to weave that into the process. So in this case, I actually had our amazing Capshovian Rashawn on there. So you'll go ahead and write their name, and then that gives Capshow the additional context to make sure that they weave the guest content into there as well. For those of you who have, produced shows and things like that, if you do want to exclude the intro because it may be a pre-roll ad, it may be a generic, show content or whatever, you can go ahead and do that. It's not necessary. It's just, if you want to make sure that Capshow doesn't use that in its, focus analytical work, you'll still get a full transcript with that in there. So that doesn't change that. So once you've done that, you want to go and click save, and then you'll see that Capshow is going along and uploading your content. How am I going, Doc? Any questions I need to answer, or just keep going? Let me know.
Let's get. There's a couple of questions, but I think you kind of covered them. I just want to make sure that they're nailed in. Okay. So one of the first one was from Chris, and Chris, let's put you up here, Chris. Chris said, what would you do if you had two people regularly hosting the show, because it wouldn't be one persona? And I guess that's kind of the guest thing. You just add your co-host as the guest, just the title doesn't matter.
Yeah, Christopher, that's actually a really good question. We do have, so at the moment, you're right, kind of has been sort of optimized for a single host situation. We have quite a few people who actually have they're multi-host co-hosts, and they currently use it as the same persona. Now, the reason for that is because they actually create content under like the one brand. So even though the persona is like for multiple people, the overall brand voice is the same. So you would probably want to play that by ear. And also, if there's usually just like the one person that's out there as the face, then that makes sense. But if you are actually creating separate content that's helping you promote the show, then you would want to set up separate personas. We are looking at multi-host scenarios. So if you are using the trial, I'd love to get your feedback to see how you're finding the persona setup and the creation of the assets. I say
that's actually
when you're
brilliant,
using Capshow
though.
Draft.
I think it's brilliant because I look at the flow, right? Katie and I have two total different personalities. Like, she's super nice and I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks. But we do have a brand voice for the show. So in reality, the brand voice of the show is technically more important than, me being normal and her being Canadian. I mean, she's American now. she ran away. Was it defected? Yeah. That's the word. Okay.
Defected. Yeah.
This I kind of know the answer to this question, but I'll let you handle it. Why 120? What's up with 120? I would have made it 420, but that's me.
Yeah, that's a great question. Sorry, I don't know the name, but Awaken Soul Love. Why release of the limitations? I know we should be limitless. I agree. So a couple of reasons. And look, we are always one thing about Capshow is we're very feedback driven. That doesn't mean that we say yes to everything, but we love communicating and hearing from our community, including constructive feedback. And we will absolutely reassess our current situation if need be. The main reason is because the content we are looking to create, as you'll see when I go through almost the content funnel, is really trying to get you to really crystallize the key points. And what we found, like for example, I love listening to podcasts that are like 3-4 hours long, so I'm a big consumer of that kind of content. But what we found, the primary use case we were solving for was to kind of help people activate their content in a very particular way. And anything over 2 hours, it seemed to struggle a little bit to kind of get the main threads. Because if we were just creating content that summarized stuff for you, then that's no problem. 4 hours, give us 5 hours worth of content, that's no problem. But because we're trying to not just summarize, because any AI tool can do that, it's like get the gist of that, help you figure out what action it is that you want your people to take, having listened to that, and then turn that into very, very potent and specific pieces of content that it ultimately gets people to take action. We just found that 120 minutes was a really happy medium. Now that's based on feedback from our customers and our Capshovians. Obviously, we're always open to sort of change that if it makes sense, but that's the main reason that we are currently have the 120-minute limit.
And I would tell you, there's another thing that you should totally know about. If you give any of the LLMs, not even just Capshow, but any of them that much data, you are asking for hallucinations, because they only have. Well, I mean, let's get this straight. Let's throw AI out. AI does not exist. If you talk to your friend for that long, you're going to get hallucinations, right? So people have me, especially me and my friend Diana, we do 5-hour streams, which is psycho, but we start to hallucinate towards the end of that. So the reason why you're trying to be concise is it will forget, and anyone who's ever had an argument with the other half or a spouse, you start agreeing with each other but still fighting because you haven't realized you're saying the same thing. So there's a reason for brevity. It's not a limitation, it's a feature. Trust me, you never want to give any of the models so much information that it just starts making stuff up, because it gets confused, because it's trying to parse all of this in real time. We're not there yet. I think, a year or so from now, we might be at a different spot. But for now, you're asking for trouble if you go that crazy. And then there's one couple really quick ones I saw. Where did you go, Jim? Jim, you were just here. There you go. Jim's a pool doctor. Jim said, so separate personas for different target audience. I think that's the clutch part of it to me. Yes. And Chris said, is there monthly limit for uploads?
Yes. So currently you get 300 minutes worth of uploads a month. So
okay,
how many, depending on how long your episodes or your videos are.
Yes, and Paul, you are correct. You are still correct. So I think Roy mentioned it earlier, where Roy was saying, it'd be cool to just have a number where you can make it start here and in here. Right now, you're making it skip an intro. Fam, you have this thing on your computer called QuickTime. Open it up, slide to you want to go, press Command-T to split, delete the part that you don't need, save and send that. It literally would take you 1 second to chop this with no special audio equipment. QuickTime built into your computer can do that. If you're on YouTube, you can actually split the YouTube file in the editor, say save as new, and then download that and send it. So yeah, I would say definitely chop it and don't let it go too crazy. No, we're not doing the Jerry Lewis telethon, George. George is funny. Thanks, George. That was good. Okay, so let's keep rolling.
Amazing. Thank you, Doc. I love having you as I wouldn't say sidekick. That sounds, but you're the best. Thank you. Okay, cool. So basically, you'll see in the time that we've just been chatting there, the upload has gotten ready. So these tooltips we just actually implemented last night. So it's a little bit, they're going to get moved back to where they need to. So pardon that. But essentially, you'll see the first step is that it's going to say it's still processing. It's not fully done, not ready to edit just yet, because we have a few steps to do now. So when that's ready, it will tell you that the upload is complete and you need to go ahead and click on Get Started to take this to the next level. Okay, cool. So now this is where some of that intentionality from a content perspective is going to come. So up until now, we've done a lot of intentionality around the account, like who you are, your persona, your tone of voice, right? So now this is going to be at the level of every upload. Hopefully you can still see that. It's a little bit, I'll just zoom in a little bit. Okay, so you'll see for every upload, there's 3 main things that you will need to choose. And I'm going to talk through each of them in parts. So back to that question about the 120 minutes, this is why, to Doc's very good point about brevity and kind of thinking about how we serve our audience the best possible way, the first step Capshow is going to ask you to do is to say, hey, you talked about quite a few different things in this particular upload. Which topic would you like Capshow to focus on? So this is where now it starts to focus. The rest of the content is still good. It's just kind of saying, what would you like me to really make sure that we don't miss? So in this particular example, the content, Rayshon was telling his story about, burning out with his podcasting and how he wasn't getting the results that he wanted, and things like that, and kind of, his search for tools and his workflow and things like that. So you can see here, it's got quite a few different topics. I know for those of you who might ask, we're working on making the contrast a little higher because it's a little on the paler side. So especially those of you who, need that extra contrast. So we are working on that, but any UI feedback is really helpful. On the right here, you'll see what we've calculated as an SEO score. The higher, the better. This is just a guiding mechanism to say, hey, generally speaking, for these keywords, this is how it stacks up by way of, what people are searching for. It's not an exact science. It's just kind of giving you a bit of a guide to say, hey, these might be a little bit on the higher side compared to these ones. So I don't personally recommend using this as the measure. It's just a helpful guide. For example, you might be like, I'm going to focus on podcast burnout and overcoming challenges. But that's interesting that in this case, this is Capshow, not Capshell, but that might be an interesting topic for me to do feature content on. So that's how some of our Capshow audience users process as well. So you can choose one of the topics that Capshow creates for you, or you can also go ahead and edit your own, and put in, keywords that you want to make sure that it covers. And you can, that's entirely optional as well. So once you picked your topic, you want to hit on next, and it's going to generate 5 different premises for you. So this is what I was talking about with that funnel now. So this premise is specifically used for the social media content that Capshow creates for you. Like, I'm sure all of you have used AI for social media captions, and I'm sure everyone's seen those super short, captions with like really basic hashtags and emojis that have been ruined for all of us because it's just so generic now with the rocket and everything. So we're trying to really avoid that. So basically the first thing that we will do is ask you to say, okay, based on this upload, here are some very human perspectives that we've gleaned from the content you've uploaded. And these are 5 premises that you could take with your social media content. For example, Rayshon talked about everything from like how everyone tells you to be consistent, but how that can lead to burnout if you're not getting results. He talked about, taking a moment with God to really understand, is this really what he wants to be doing, with his time, right? He really talked about the importance of like using technology to help him streamline. So there's all of these very human perspectives that he said in, and that's what Capshow will crystallize for you to say, okay, here are some premises. Which angle would you like us to take, for this particular upload? Now, this irks me. There's a typo here that should say premise, and the team are working on changing that to premise. So those of you who are like eagle-eyed, please know we're fixing that very soon. But basically, the purpose of this premise is to create really engaging social media content that highlights your unique take. And this is really great because people look at this and say, oh, I didn't realize I had this unique take, but this, it kind of makes you feel really good about the content you're creating. So in this one, I'm going to go ahead and pick the first premise, but you would choose the premise that, resonates most with you. And then the final step. So for those of you who don't do your content in this way, this can feel like a lot of work, but this is kind of like training camp for your content, because this is really making you think intentionally about like, why are you even creating this content in the first place? Are you just creating content for content's sake? Obviously, you were doing it for the joy of it, but beyond that, what results, what action would you like your audience to take? It may be something as simple as, well, I just like them to listen to this episode or watch this video. That's fine, or you might have a really evolved and established business, and you might have a certain action, like a certain, sales or lead action you want them to take. So for someone like us, because it's a testimonial video, we could say, sign up for your free Capshow trial, right? Because we could go straight into that. And what this will do is it'll give Capshow context to say, oh, that's what you want out of your content. Now let me see how I can weave this action back into the content I create for you. So it's not up to you to think about that. Now you may have that idea already, and that's great. But for those of you who are like, well, I didn't really know how that could work, this is a really great way to see what Capshow can do for you. So the first thing we want to add is the call to action wording. So that will be what Capshow takes in. It won't do it verbatim. It's just going to take that as to say, okay, this is how Bonner would like to communicate what she wants my end audience to do, her end audience to do. Apologies. And then you want to add a bit of context for this action, because it's like, well, sure, you could tell people to sign up for the free Capshow trial, but what's the benefit of Capshow, right? You could say, sign up, come join my free Facebook group, but what will they get out of that Facebook group? Come sign up for my masterclass, my webinar, my next live stream. That's cool, but what is it that they're going to get? So that's usually the context, and Capshow will connect this to that audience. If you remember in your persona that we put in together, it'll say, oh, okay, for that audience, this is the value of this action. And then now it starts to have a very holistic idea of not just who you are and what you do, but kind of what you're looking to do with your content. So here I could just say Capshow helps content creators get more leads from their content. And I could even go so far as to say, and the trial gives them the opportunity to test this for themselves, right? So then we kind of go ahead and apply changes, and then it will add what we've just selected together, and then you'll see that your items are ready to be viewed. I'm just going to take a quick pause there, Doc. Any questions we need to answer, or should I keep going?
Yeah, this is cool. And Chris' question is actually super timely. So the topic, premise, and CTAs are singular, correct? Not multiple available for each multiple outputs.
Not multiple available for each, for multiple outputs. Gosh, my brain's just
Yeah,
died
but
there.
I
So
think I
yeah.
kind of understand, right? So to some extent, Chris, that's actually, again, a benefit because, first of all, rule number one, never give multiple CTAs. That is the worst thing that content create. As a YouTube coach, I'm like,
Oh, I see.
no, do not give multiple CTAs. Give the person on the other side of my house multiple choices on a menu to order food, and it's 3 hours. If you walk in and out, can't make a decision. They serve four things: potatoes, lemons, hamburgers, and she's like, so yeah, very in that sense. So I get what Christopher's saying is like if you can give it multiple topics and premises and CTAs so you can get
Got
different
it.
multiple outputs. But I would just take the same content and maybe regen it. You can actually add additional assets. So for instance, if you've already had it do a newsletter or a blog post, you can hit another asset which can add another blog post which comes from a different topic, a different premise, and a different CTA.
Yes.
So that's what's cool about it, which you'll see in a second, or if you're playing around in there. I haven't done that before, Chris. You just made me think of something because we're gonna have fights about this in our challenge. People love to still say I'm a visual learner or I'm a this kind of learner. No such thing. Everybody, yeah, that's debunked. But let's just say you believe that crap and you wanted to make a post that triggered the visual person, and you might want to make a post that triggered the kinetic person. You would use different premises and different CTAs. But yeah,
Yeah.
and don't fall for psychoscience, dude. It's not real. Anyway, let's keep going. I think that was it.
I think, yeah, the main thing I'll add to that as well, now that I understand the question, my apologies, Christopher, is yes, you will see, and let us know in the chat kind of what context you're thinking about as to the multiple CTAs, because for publishing assets like titles and descriptions, and even your LinkedIn articles and things like even your YouTube title and descriptions, you can add, obviously, over time, Capture will learn certain CTAs that might always be there, like, follow me here, and they'll actually learn that over time. So they're more your passive CTAs. So definitely, if you've got publishing assets where you'll have 2 to 3 CTAs. To Doc's point, I always also believe in like one primary CTA. But this particular part that I just showed you that makes you really intentional about what action you want them to take is that it's actually Capshow is going to create a specific action post that you can put on social media. So this is a really good
That's
segue into what I wanted to show you guys. So once it's ready to edit, you'll go in here. And as you can see, for your social media, you'll actually get what 4 different posts for every platform, and each time they'll be the same because they follow a framework, the 4-post strategy, which I'll explain, by our good friend and social media expert Katie Brinkley. So that's the reason why the action, the CTA we put into each upload is really important, because that is going to be the basis of this post. Now, you may not use this post depending on how you like to do your content, but it's actually, we found a really great input into even emails or things like that, where you want to lead people into what you want them to do next. You don't want to hit them with this straight away, obviously. But in and amongst that, if you have other CTAs like, follow me on my social media, or like go check out my book and things like that, you can absolutely put them into your publishing assets as well. So let me show you a little bit around what we call your asset dashboard. So once that process is done, you put in your topic, your context to your CTA, and your premise. It's going to go ahead and generate all these lovely pieces of content. You will know when it's ready. It will be green, and you'll be able to see this pencil icon, which is what you can use to edit. I'm going to show you one main asset as well as the social media ones, and then you guys can play around with the rest of them in your own time. So when you click on that pencil icon, it's going to take you into our editor. So you'll always be able to see what file it is, which is why that nickname is important, and what asset it is. This is a title and description, which is the foundational asset. If nothing else, Capshow will always create this for you. Now, if you're a podcaster, you can use this as your title, description, and show notes. If you are, putting things like coaching calls through this, you can use that to publish that into your community space and things like that. But it's just a really, really, easy and easy to use asset, foundational. So you'll see it kind of writes it out like a whole, sort of cohesive piece of content. You can get title options. We generate 5 for you. You can go ahead and review them, and when you click them and replace them into the editor, everything is editable. So you can go ahead and edit it like you would a regular Word document. You can go ahead and read this. So it'll kind of give you some key learnings. And in this, for this particular output, and basically, because this is designed to help you engage with the main piece of content, it'll usually kind of guide people towards that. In this asset, you can also go ahead and add things like chapter summary, key moments, and the transcript if that's what you use in your publishing workflow. So that's all available for you. And basically, the way that Capshow works in terms of its self-learning is that once you're happy, you've made your edits, which includes wording changes, which includes layout changes, structure changes, maybe nuances that you have around how you sign off and things like that. What you want to do is you want to go ahead and click this as mark as complete. Now, what that does is it actually tells Capshow, I'm done editing this. Now, of course, you can make future edits. We don't limit you from that. But it's just basically nudging Capshow to say, now, for my title and description, I've edited what you've given me, and I'm letting you know that this is my review, right? So like Doc talked about, if you're hiring a human, they're going to do a draft for you, you're going to review it, and you're going to send it back to them to say, this is how I like to write. You're 90% of the way there, or you're like 20% of the way there, right? So this will now, in our engine, will say, okay, Christopher, Doc, whoever it is doing the editing, they have just resubmitted their title and description, and this is how they like to write. And over time, it's going to learn not just how you like to write, but how you like to write this specific asset. And it's going to actually build those nuances in. It almost then overrides that initial custom tone of voice training. It's going to actually learn with you. And usually by about 3 to 4 uploads, we start to see the results. Now, again, depending on how specific your style is. Some people have a more general style, and that's okay. But if you have a very unique style of writing, things like if you open always with all caps and things like that, that's going to be much more obvious, right? So you'll see that it actually will start to learn. And once it's marked as complete, that status will change on the dashboard as well, just to remind you that it's been done. Now, if you go back and say, well, actually, I would like to change it still, no worries. You don't have to keep marking it as complete. We already have that as an asset to learn from. Whatever future changes you make, it will just keep learning from. So you don't have to have that as an open loop in your mind. I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about the social media content, because this is probably where it's radically different to what you may have seen in other other AI platforms. So rather than just giving you like generic social media captions. Firstly, they are designed by platform. At the moment, we have Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And if you're on any other platforms, please do let us know because we're more than happy to add more platforms to the stack. Like I said, you will see this in the 4 different posts. So we have awareness, tip, community, and action. And they are in that order for a reason because we recommend, based on this framework, that it's really about taking your audience from awareness to action via education through the tip and also social proof through the community post. So let's go ahead and take a look at this example. So for Facebook, something like
Super
Facebook.
quick question.
Oh,
Super quick
yes.
one. Uh,
Mhm.
does this thing understand Spanish?
Oh, at the moment, we are only in American English. And I'm going to say that because I'm Australian and we speak a little bit
Crikey!
differently.
That's all I got.
Not
That's
like
all I
that.
got.
We don't say crikey.
That's all I
So
got.
unfortunately, we spell things differently. So we've had the request to say, but yeah, so I'm very clear to say it's American English. Unfortunately, so we're just trying to master that to begin with. And then who knows in the future, but unfortunately we don't do Spanish at the moment. I'm sorry.
そして日本語のできはできませんけど、後ではの英語だけ、はい、かしこまりました。
Wait, that's Japanese
Yeah,
or
I thought that was
Korean.
Australian. My
Oh,
bad. I messed it up.
this is
My job
terrible.
here today is to
Terrible.
break Bana. So she's gonna go
I
like,
know, and you're
I
very
quit.
close. I'm
She's
drinking.
gonna, DJ, I quit. I quit. That guy is mental.
Oh
He's
yeah,
not normal.
it's not worth it. It's not worth it. No, and
Nah,
Doc, we met last year, so we're good. We're sweet.
yeah. Lou
Yes.
said, I may have missed it earlier, but can you input videos and have it create other videos? I guess. Yes. It
Yes, Lou,
says
I'm so
beta.
excited. We literally just dropped that in beta 2 nights ago. So the Capshow team are super sleep deprived this week, so we apologize. But yes, we actually, I'm going to show you that. It's in beta right now, but you absolutely can, and we're very, very excited about that feature.
It's so nice that you guys say beta. My British friends say beta, and I'm like, what? Beta what? Never mind. Anyway.
I mean, we live in America now, so it feels like we have to say such things. Deidre has also started saying demand instead of demand. I still hold on to the and. But yeah, we're slowly Americanizing, unfortunately. But beta, we're in beta.
And Lou said, what about a New Jersey accent? Thanks, Lou. That's good. That's good.
That's
As a
so
New Yorker, I'll take it.
now
All right, let's go.
that okay, Lou, that I can put on the backlog, specifically New Jersey. And if you wouldn't mind being a test case for us, that would be awesome. Okay, I'm not even going to attempt the accent. We're going to get straight into this. Okay, cool. So where was I? So basically, the awareness post, it is going to be different by platform. And like I said, Katie Brinkley, for those of you who don't know her, she is a social media strategist, and she does social media for clients. She teaches social media. She also does it for her own business. So she is someone who has this really, really effective framework that we just found work exceptionally well, and is a great way to do it for those of you who are looking to really activate your social media without kind of posting all the time everywhere and having to spend too much time doing it. Now if you are have your own framework, your own social media process and things like that, that's amazing. You can absolutely still use these as inputs into that, because they're still really helpful in terms of helping you get engagement, helping you nudge your audience towards action and things like that. But if you're like, I actually need something, I would like a framework to follow, this is really, really helpful. For those of you who are curious, you can click on the eyes because you're curious, and you can click through to our page on the 4-Post social media training. It's got basically all of the background of who Katie is, what the 4-Post social media strategy is, full detailed training with her, as well as detailed training that Deidre and I have done on each of the posts so that you can actually, and how to use it from Capshow. So it's very, very detailed. So you can go ahead and check that out. But for something like Facebook, you'll see that because the advice is that, given the platform, you'd want to post just like a super quick question or maybe even a polarizing statement just to generate awareness. Now, not for the sake of being contrarian, but just to generate, conversation, right, about the topic. So you'll want to obviously edit it to what makes sense for you. But, for example, because this is all about consistency, this particular, in our circles anyway, of content creation might be a little bit polarizing to say consistency is overrated. And there's a lot of people that, advocate for consistency, right? So it's just there to helpful to actually start to generate awareness on the topic. And then that's followed up with what we call, and Katie calls the tip post, where you basically elaborate on that. It's a longer form post. This is really about you sharing your perspective on it and giving people value through education. People use this from like copying, like sort of pasting it like a long form text. They use it as a script for a video if they're more of a video first creator. They turn this into carousels. So there's lots of different ways you can use the content. Some people have even sent this out as an email. So it's really up to you how to use this, but this will crystallize the topic into a point of view that you have based on the premise that you chose. So this is the purpose of this second post in the 4 posts is to educate and add value to your audience so that they're like, because you've already started the conversation about the topic, this just is a really great way to add a very specific piece of value. Then the third post we recommend doing through Katie's framework is the community post. Now, this is the human post. This is where we recommend you take the topic, you reflect on it, and you share a personal story, maybe of yourself, of your community, maybe of your clients, potentially even of your partners, as in definitely your life partner, but as in your business partners and people you partner with. So it's really up to you. So we actually give you ideas of how you could craft your community post. Like we've maintained from the beginning, we're an AI company, but we believe in human first. And this is where we're like, part of social media, the main purpose of social media is to be social, to be human. So we really advocate for doing this post and taking the time out, hopefully the time we've saved you in the other spaces, to actually craft a community post that comes from the heart and is very specific to either what you're going through right now or have gone through recently in the past. Something that really is, adds the juice to your content. So for example, for Rayshawn, it's kind of like, you could share personal story of overcoming burnout. We could focus on our community of listeners. So it gives you ideas, and that's the purpose of this. So don't expect a fully written community post, because we believe that should come from your own experiences and your own background. And then finally, we have the action post. This is going to take into context the the action that we originally put into the upload. So as you can see, this is all about like the journey, and then it kind of ties into trying your free Capshow trial. So this is where obviously if your content and your CTA is like the link is really tenuous, it's going to struggle, but you probably knew that anyway, right? Going, these things aren't really related. But if it is a tight fit, you'll find it's quite surprising how well it pulls this together. But again, this is a polarizing post by way of, depending on how you like to quote unquote sell on things like social media, you might want to like pare it back, or you might want to go be more aggressive. This is where you really want to make the edits and use Capshow's Markers Complete function to really give it an idea of how you like to write these posts. Because perhaps you've never written posts like this and you're still evolving, how you like to make the ask on social media. So definitely go and check out the training and check out the examples we have of how other people are doing it if this is new to you. If you have a very specific way of doing it, make sure that you reflect it on here so that Capshow can learn from that as well. So that's going to be available for every platform. By every platform, I mean Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And definitely let us know if there's other platforms you're interested in. I'll just very, very quickly show you the blog post, because for those of you who are doing longer form written content, we found that this has gotten really, really good feedback. So obviously it'll always have the title, and it'll be a fully written blog post. You'll also see that we'll do key takeaways for those of you in your audience who just like to skim and not really read the whole thing. But the great thing is we're also starting to do image suggestions throughout the particular post. So that for those of you obviously who do blog, you know that it's important to have rich media on here. And alongside those image suggestions, at the end of the blog, we also do a meta description for you so that you're actually, when you're publishing, you have one less hurdle to cross. And we also give you some key points to Doc's point about being visual learners. But also we highly recommend, kind of any SEO expert will tell you to include things like infographics to increase the discoverability of your content. So whilst we cannot create images for you just yet or infographics for you just yet, we do give you the content we recommend turning into an infographic that you can use something like a Canva for to basically create and publish alongside your blog post. Again, with the blog post, if you have a specific way of doing things, you like, for example, you like to actually turn it into a you like to have quotes throughout, for example, make sure you go and make those structural changes as well as those edits. We can't recommend editing enough. We're not the type of people to advocate for copy and paste, because all of the platforms will penalize you for AI generated content. It kind of makes us cringe when we see some of our users just take stuff that Capsho's just created and they haven't edited it. So please do that, because then it's pointless. We're not here to power that kind of content creation. We really want you to engage with it. We want to create cognitive space for you so you can do that. And then mark it as complete so that we can learn from that and get closer and closer to how you like to write. But definitely when it's out of the box, it's going to need some guidance, like humans do, right? So please do take the time to do that. So basically that's kind of how you access your asset dashboard. This will pre-populate with the platforms you chose at the start of what you're on. But then you do have the option to create new asset and add the other platforms if you would like. But we don't want to create clutter if you're not on these platforms. And to the earlier question, I think it was Lou that asked, we are in beta with our video clipping. So basically, you just go ahead and click on that asset, and it's going to go ahead and basically start to do its thing. It's going to take a little bit of time, about 30 seconds, so I can pause for more questions while that's loading as well, if needed.
Okay, so here's the part that is just super cool. I like the fact that it is making you put some skin in the game, okay? Mm-hmm. Because, like, the amount of people that just take what the AI is throwing at them, I get it, because these were what we were promised. And it wasn't that the companies didn't think that it would do what they said. They didn't know they would be so big so fast. So if it was a handful of us taking just AI generated stuff and throwing it out there, that would have been maybe okay. But it's everybody, their mama, my dog Osaka, a couple of people doing it. And now the internet is filled with, I have a list of words, game changer, revolutionary. Whether you are a beginning or whether you are a older, like, oh my God, the amount of stuff that just comes out of these things that is super generic. So much so I've had to tell mine, if you say revolutionary or game changer one more time, I will come and rip your AI out. So, like, I literally tell Chad, never say that in my post, because I can't stand it. It's obnoxious.
Yes.
So I think it's great that you guys are making people put skin in the game. It really does go a long way to making your stuff work better. It is a fantastic tool, and everyone should use it. But you got to be careful, like putting a pineapple on a pizza and calling it Hawaiian. That will get you bodied where I live. Like, this is not a thing. Okay, so Chris says, can we also schedule these to social from Capshow at the moment?
Not at the moment, Chris. It is something we're considering whether we have the fortitude to take on, because it's obviously a very complicated space. So not currently. So our users currently will just obviously copy and paste the assets out once they're finalized, but it may potentially be on the roadmap in the future.
The only thing I would add to that is the way that Meta has identity crisis every 5 days. I would rather you guys focus on what you're specialized at. I can copy and paste my butt off. Maybe give us Zapier. I always want to say Zapier, like a rapier, but it's Zapier. Don't get cute with your names, people. Give me webhooks or some way I can automate it, and I'd be cool with that. But I'd much rather you stick to doing what you do best. There's so many tools that can automate posting, including the apps itself. Like Instagram will let you automate posts, and so will Facebook, because same company. But yeah, they change their mind every couple of days, and so you'll be chasing something else instead of making our stuff cooler. That's a hard part.
That's a really good point. Yeah. And I will change, because I say Zapier, so I will now start saying Zapier.
That's the one, Lou. That's the one that kills me the most. Up level. It's not up level, damn it. We say level up. Okay? Like, I'm from the street. We invented that mess. It's level up. It is never up level. It has never been in the video game. Level up. It has never said up level. I don't know where you got that word from. And now, because people read that crap, people say that. And I'm like, bruh.
That's true.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Criminy. Okay, let me go. I told y'all I'm the mean one. Y'all are in trouble.
I love it. I love it. All right, these transitions are getting harder because I'm laughing for straight for 60 seconds. Now I've got to have game face on. Okay, cool. So this is our editor. Like I said, it's in beta. So beta. So what you'll see, it's very, very simple. Our main thing, going back to Doc's point about sticking to what we're good at, is really in the intelligence and the kind of taking the cognitive load out of shortlisting and drafting and things like that. So basically, very simply, what you'll see is you'll see the full transcription, obviously, of the file. You'll see in green the bits that Capshow has chosen for you as a highlight. So a lot of work has gone into this process. We have worked with short form content. Sorry, I'm just laughing at Rich. Delving is definitely my pet peeve. I think that's the one I hate the most.
Rich is one of my besties, and yeah, Rich is funny, but that one is definitely the worst one. So that's why when he put it, I started laughing. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know. And treasure trove. If anyone ever sends me to a treasure trove, yeah,
Done.
I'm
I'm
out.
done. I quit.
Yeah, I'm done. That's it. Yeah, I don't need to know you. Okay, cool. So basically, yeah, so it's gonna pick, the highlights for you. We've spent it, yeah, like I was saying, we've actually worked with people who do this for a living. So people who have agencies and, I guess like teach people, as in humans, how to identify clips. Now, there's obviously always, like with everything, right? Human intervention is required. We're not saying you can just automate this completely, but our value that we can add is to take the time. We have the technology, so to take the time to see how we can codify this expertise in the tool so that it's kind of at least making the shortlisting a little bit better. Now, an example that obviously this is a very short clip, but an example that I put through recently was I actually put in a kind of a meeting that Deidre and myself had with one of our strategic partners. And that meeting had everything from her talking about what she's going through with her business right now, which was really compelling, through to like us just looking at our calendars and trying to decide when we can meet next. It completely ignored that administrative part and just focused on the bits in between and at the start and the end that were really kind of compelling, right? So we have road tested this with lots of different types of content. Now, obviously, one of the things that Luis Cameo, who we worked with, he's a social media, short form video expert. He said, nothing, including this, can obviously hide a terrible message. So the quality of the message always has to be trump the quality of production. So this is not for you if you're looking for a super, what's the word I'm looking for? Like very, very customizable editor. That's not really what we're looking to help you do here. If you have a whole system and team and process for that, that's really, really great. But this is really a sweet spot for if you just want to get short form videos, which are a really, really great way to test organically micro content, without a lot of like perfectionism and just getting stuff out there to see what resonates with your audience. This is the ideal use case for that. So there's high level editing that you can do. You can obviously, make it portrait for your, your short form videos. You can kind of play around with a little bit of like the subtitles and things like that, but we're keeping it very, very simple. The main thing is to help you identify, the key moments that are worth putting out, that we recommend are worth putting out on social. So basically, you'll want to go ahead and review that. You can create your own as well, obviously, as you're reading through it, or if you already have an idea in your mind to say, this part was particularly compelling, I'm going to go ahead and pick that. That's really cool. Now, this one is a very short video, so it's going to pick quite a lot of it because it's very, very potent. We had edited this down to the most important parts. So obviously, a lot of the highlights are going to be picked up. But if you have an unedited piece of content, it's a 2-hour video, and there were some nuggets in there, but a lot of it was not ideal for short form. It's really going to hone in on those pieces. So you can go ahead and do that. We will have the ability soon, can't promise a date, to edit more at the scene level. So you'll have a bit more flexibility on editing. But really what we're trying to do here is power you to compress your production time and spend more of that actually putting it out there and seeing what lands and what doesn't. So we think that's, and then once you know messages that are actually worth investing in, then you can put more editing prowess, resources, time, money into that. So that's kind of where we're coming from with this. But the great thing is once you have got your highlights, you can go ahead and download the video clip. it's going to go ahead and do that. And then it's going to take you back to your editor and you'll see that the video clip is in generation. So basically it's going to export that. That's going to take a little while. So I'll show you one that we have done before. So this was a masterclass that we did with Luis. You can see that the video clip has finished generating. You can go into the editor, you will see it in its clip. And then we also, at the moment, you'll have the button that says generate captions, and you can generate 3 YouTube Shorts captions. We are currently creating captions for Instagram and Facebook Reels, and we've also just got a request in this morning for TikTok captions, so we're working on that. But YouTube Shorts is a really great place to start, obviously, so you can go ahead and edit that like you would any other editor. And you can also download this download this from Capshow and obviously get it ready for publication. So that is very, very new. It's only a couple of days old. So as people in the challenge, you'll be some of the first people to actually test this out. Obviously, we're very open to feedback. We would love to see what you think. We're continuing to build this and improve this. So any feedback is super helpful at the moment. All right.
That is right. Okay, I have some questions over here. I'm assuming that was Katie. It could be Paul. Said, can you talk about
Katie.
the whole extended
Hi,
trial, how it works, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know we're gonna get questions about that.
Yes. So basically, if you currently go signing up for a trial of Capsho NextGen, it's a standard 14 days. Pretty simple. But as part of this challenge, we are offering you an extended 30-day trial. So basically what that will mean is that you just go through our sign-up process, which we have put into the group and has been being sent out to all of you as reminders. As soon as you do sign up, it will, at the moment, the checkout will say 14 days, but that will ping our team and they will go ahead and auto upgrade you to a 30-day trial so that you have it for the duration of the challenge. And depending on when you sign up, a little bit more than that. As soon as that has been done, you'll get an email from our team to say this has been done and this is when your trial will end. Obviously, have the date in mind, and we will also send a reminder to you 2 days before your trial ends to let you know, just to remind you that obviously that's coming up. And if you need to cancel and so on and so forth, which we hope you won't, but totally understand if you need to, then you can take care of that and and all of that is squared away. You can obviously also contact us from inside the app at any point for assistance. There's a little purple bubble that you can use to contact us, and our team will take care of you.
Super cool. Okay, there was one more. I don't know if Chris knows this, but you guys have 90210. Did you remember that show back in the old school days? Chris looks like Ian Ziering, so every time his little icon comes on my screen, it's messing with me. Sorry, Chris. Sorry. It said, if there are 2 speakers, can you highlight just one talking for the 16:9 view?
Yes. So this is a really good question, Christopher. Currently, the beta version is probably ideal. Okay, let me answer this. So basically, yes, is the short answer. So because the clips are you generally in that 29 to 30 second, we are really solving for a one clip, one main idea sort of scenario. So basically, you'll find that whether it's yourself or if you have a co-host, or if you have a guest, it'll be like one person speaking out the idea, and it'll be like crisp and short. Now, obviously, there are definitely pieces of content where it'll be a bit of back and forth, maybe, and that's kind of the magic of the clip, where you have the banter. That's where the scene editing will be required, because you'll kind of you can't just obviously have it at the moment, you can only have it on the one person. So that's where you'll probably need that. But our hypothesis is that a lot of the content that's being uploaded, especially for the short form 15 to 30 second, max 1 minute kind of clip, is that it'll be one person, one idea, straight to the point, and then that's kind of what performs really well. But for the moment, it's just
there is a conversation running around in the short form creators that Vine still lives on 7 seconds.
Wow, really?
Yeah, like the program itself, Vine is dead, but the mentality of short form video came from Vine. And so it was 6 seconds, but everybody just switched it to 7 just because it's an easier number for people to wrap their head around. And next time you're absorbing your talks or your grams or your reels or your YouTube, watch the ones that trigger you, and you'll be surprised. They're all short, like really, really short.
Mm.
The ones that make you crack up or you send something to your friend, they're either really short or they're starting to get the long ones, like the 3-minute ones on TikTok. In that case, it should have just been a regular video. So it's funny
Yes.
because if you really watch the videos that are getting traction, they're super, super short or they're longer, but they're very intentional, right? So
Mm.
people are posting
Mm.
shorts for short's sake, and I'm the intent and purpose guy. Like that is, I have a whole T-shirt, intent and purpose. Got to do things
Mm.
intentional. Don't just clip it because everybody said make clips. The clip has to do
Yeah.
something. It can't just be
Yes.
a regurgitation of a longer video. That's silly,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, there you go.
I really
Yeah.
like that actually. It was a conversation we were having this morning for the training inside of our Facebook group. And I think because at the moment, the way the capture works is it obviously repurposes your longer form video into those shorter clips. But to that point, getting this out is actually a really great precursor step to then going, oh, okay, these are the messages. Actually, now I am going to go and take a separate short form video on this because this message really resonated. So if you've already created, and especially if you're not as advanced a creator as Doc is in terms of his messaging and knowing your audience, this is a really great step. And this is something that and also you might be really advanced on a particular platform, but there's another platform you want to be on that you're not as sure about just yet. This is a really great way. So for us, that's Instagram. Deidre's on LinkedIn and Facebook. Those are her platforms, but we haven't really been on Instagram in that way. So we're like, okay, let us use this as a low fidelity way with content we're already creating to just get ourselves on there and see how we feel about the content that's organically performing. And then we can decide, okay, now we can actually invest some resources and time into creating specific short form videos on particular topics.
Oh, I was definitely using the fruity language when I came into the back end of the YouTube channel. Me and her are gonna have whole fights. like like
Oh my
you guys should be crushing YouTube. Like you are designed for YouTubers. You just don't even know it yet. So don't worry, we're gonna have fun. This challenge is gonna be so amazing. I'm super excited and I like learning stuff from even you guys. So, looking at some of the questions that are coming up is giving me ideas, And one of my favorite things is, oh, well, how do I know if I have enough content? Trust me, you have enough content. If you come to Motivational Monday, I will show you how to generate 30 pieces of content out of any subject in the freaking planet because it does exist and it's very easy to do. So I can't wait to get in. Ask Eden. She hangs out with me. she would crack you up. We're just sitting here side by side so we can move the focus over. Yeah, I think so, Chris. One thing that as you asked the question and Bonner was asking it, I was like, I would probably do, because I'm weird like this, I would make the clip of my side of the conversation, and then I'd make the clip of Katie's side of the conversation, and real easily in the Insta editor or Capshow or something, I could just, not Capshow, that's not what I meant, CapCut. I can do the flip-flop back and forth kind of situation really, really quickly.
Yes.
You could even, this is funny, Chris, you could even do it as, you're the one persona. Okay, in the cartoons where they put the two little egos on either side, you could actually do both portions and cut back and forth. Every time I see one of those videos on any of the short form platforms, I'm forever cracking up. And I think it's funny because I know people who process all questions like that. They answer it the positive way, they answer it the negative way, and then they come up with some answer in the middle. And so when I see those types of videos, those do really well. So in a way, your creativity is what we're going to help you squeeze out over the next 21 days, and you'll get it. You'll get it figured out. Super, super cool. Yes, Ecamm is going to challenge Capshow and vice versa. 100%.
Ooh,
100%.
we're so competitive. Okay,
well,
exciting,
just that.
exciting.
You guys are making us think of new ways for us to create content. And I'm sure after hanging out with us, and that's the best part about these challenges and bringing the two communities together. Our family is going to show your guys like why you should be live 24/7, basically. And your guys are going to show us how to actually take some of that content that we're creating. Because, we can create tons of content, right? Our side is very good at creating content. But, like, what do you do with it, right? If you just created bread and you never made sandwiches, your house is going to look stupid after a minute. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be cool to blend the two things together. And then, we're going to come out with some really amazing stuff. So I'm super excited about this.
For sure.
And I just love, like, I saw the old version and I look at the new version. I'm like, I don't even remember the old version. Like, how you was out here in the streets playing around. The new version is so cool.
I know, we were
cool.
so ugly. And we're it's like glow up. Our glow up is not, we're not quite there. We're not hot yet, but we are on our way. We're on our way.
That's, oh my God. We're going to have way too much fun. We're going to have way too much fun. What did Paul say? Paul said now we have over 1,600 videos on YouTube.
Whoa. Okay.
It's crazy. And just to show you, like, when I joined the team, I swear we were under 20.
What?
Yeah. It was very little bit videos there. And then it just boom.
Crazy.
Because
wow. Okay, that's inspiring.
You, like, I think a lot of people, initial hurdle is getting over. It's almost like when you're a child and you're walking. At first, every step, fall down, parents laugh, you get up, and then walking turns into running, and then you just never stop running until the arthritis kicks in, right? It's the similar thing. Once you get over that sort of fear of creating, worrying about all the things all the time, and you just do and less worrying, content is the easiest game in the business. And I told Mary Lou this yesterday. She was on her stream, and I had just watched her video about using Capshow and how excited she was, right? Lou is kind of my partner in crime right now for this podcast we're doing. And I'm like, now is absolutely the best time ever to be a content creator. And yet people are still out here complaining how hard it is. And I'm like, these tools are so amazing. When I started creating on YouTube back in 2006, not very easy. You had to record in tape. And then in tape, you had to digitize it into your computer. And then your computer would go to press render. You could legit go cook Thanksgiving dinner and your computer is still thinking. Sometimes my computer would take 2 days to render a video that would be a YouTube video. And if there's a mistake, and Katie would tell you about my spelling mistakes, you're coming to watch my video and it's .org. And I'm like, oh man, I got to change that lower third. You got to re-render the entire video. There was no way to just fix it in the fly and keep going. There's no way to do what we're doing here with just, like pressing a button and adding another video. None of this stuff was possible. You see what I mean? And yeah, like I can't wait to talk to you guys and show you some things that you can do. And for the people who are sort of, have trepidations, just let them go. Like, dig into an alter ego, take a shot of tequila before you start, like do something, because now is not the time to sleep on being a content creator. It is the best time ever. And whoever your competition is that has those same fears that you have right now, whichever one of you gets rid of them the first will win. End of conversation. So if you're the one that stays scared and your competitor says, I'm diving in, I'm doing video, you're done. Your competitor wins. But if you're the one that says, let me do this video stuff first, then you're going to win. It's simple as pie. Like there's no arguments about this. Okay. So when you sign up for the trial, is it NextGen? I see a wait list sign up on the site.
The trial
delving
is
into that,
NextGen.
Rich.
Yeah, the trial is NextGen. So Rich will put the link for where you can sign up. And then, you can go ahead and that will definitely get you onto the new version of the platform.
Yes. And Paul is correct. It would take days to render on a silicon graphics machine. My first content
I don't even know what
machine.
that is.
Oh, my first content creation machine was like 75 grand. And people are like, 500 for a Mac Mini? That's impossible. I'm just like, oh, go away. Go away.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Wow, I don't even know what it is.
I'm told I'm not supposed to make those sounds, but it drives me crazy when I hear people say stuff like that. Because, like, the RAM on a silicon graphics machine to get to 8 megs was lit like 20 grand. Yeah, super funny. This is going to be cool. I thank you for showing. I learned some stuff today too that I was doing wrong. And I just realized I have to go remake my persona. I double checked with Ash in Slack, and Ash was like, "Yeah, ding dong, you got to go redo your persona." I'm like, "Thanks, Ash. You
Yeah.
should have told me that." And thank you, Aaron Ziering. I mean, Chris, for the great questions. You had some really amazing questions, and that really helped us
Yeah.
help move
Thank
it
you so
along.
much.
And we're gonna be here, dude. We're gonna be here. Hang out in the Facebook group. Everybody's there. It's like a little party. And I can't wait to see what people are creating. I can't wait to learn from you guys. And I have Katie's book, oh my God, I'm going to say the words wrong. It's a prize. Hold on. Let me look at this picture. It is called The Social Shift. That's the word. I didn't want to use the bad word. It is really good. And then, like our Katie said, we're going to go into that tomorrow so that you can find out about the 4 social media post like strategy. It was an eye opener for me. Like I got that book back in January, and it was really an eye opener for me. So I can't wait to see again what everybody creates. So super excited. Anybody have any last questions? Any last questions? Dun, 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 dun. I love this. Yeah.
I don't know what these things are. What is? Okay, I'm going to Google this.
You do know, you just might not have known. All of your like original animation movies, and I don't mean like Japanese style anime, but when Pixar and all those things were coming out, to do any form of 3D title work or fancy titling or all those MTV where there'd be like retro, what is the word, rotoscoping, that was all done on something known as Silicon Graphics machine. They were extremely powerful machines. And up until about 98, when the first sort of Power Mac started to hit the market, where the Macs got their last generation of chip before Intel, that's what you needed to make anything for video, right?
Wow.
And then the Mac came out of the gate, and there was a program called Elastic Reality, which was, if you remember the Michael Jackson video where his face is changing into all these different things, that original Morse style video, that was Silicon Graphics machine and a program that was like 150 grand. This Mac program came out that could do the same thing for like $40. And that was the beginning of people looking at the Mac like, wait, this is way more powerful than I thought. And then it just, boom, it was
Amazing.
super dope. Yeah, it's how you made the dinosaurs walk in Jurassic Park. And the original Twister. This is true. So, Ian's back. I mean, Chris is back with more questions. Can you have a sub account for a virtual assistant? Man, I'm gonna go find me a 90210 Rewind today and watch it just because of Chris.
Chris, we're very grateful for your questions.
This is a good question, actually, because for instance, like something that Paul and I would attack. Sometimes Paul subs into my things just to make sure I don't screw it up. So, yeah, could you have a Paul?
So at the moment, we just have we don't have sub accounts and seats and things like that. How our Capshovians use Capshow is that they actually just share their credentials using LastPass or whatever system you have for your team, and then that's how our team uses it as well. So our team member Karen, who does a lot of the content side of things for us, basically we just have a workflow whereby, so obviously we've staged out each of those things. I do things like picking the topic, the premise, and the CTA, and then she does all the uploading and things like that. So we have some workflows that we can share with you of how you can implement that, but it'll just be the one login for now.
Cool. Man, I'm most interested in learning the different ways people are using that combination. I feel like the content that comes out is going to be greatly influenced by this killer combination of topic, premise, and CTAs. So it's going to be interesting. Like, we should almost get a running Notion document of like some pseudo generic premise, topic, CTAs, but or framework. I wouldn't say super generic, but more of a framework way of backfilling those so you can get, best case outcomes. I'm going to learn so much from watching everybody do this, and I'm following.
Yes.
So when you post content and it's good and you put the samples in the group, please tell us what was your premise, your topic, your CTA, or screenshot that so that you can help each other learn how to spark that, that idea. Because for some people, they're going to stare at that screen long and not realize they should just put something in there. So I think it's important that we share with each other what we're using so that people can just see. And it might, like, oh, this one didn't work, so this combination is, too far separated. So super good.
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
So exciting.
You have any last minute stuff you want to throw at people?
No, so well, actually, I will drop the link that I didn't grab it with me. I am going to be hosting just regular office hours for Capshow. I'll drop the link with the times. So if you want to, as you're using it, if you just want some hands-on help, hop on a call with me. We can go through it. Any more detailed questions that you have and things like the premise and CTA, if needed, we can
Okay,
definitely do
if you
that.
throw it in Slack real quick, I can put it on screen.
Okay, I think I just need to finish making it, Doc. So let me just do that.
Well,
but that's probably the main thing that I wanted to say.
While she's finished making it, I will. Yes, of course, I'm mocking you. I'm going to be hanging out in there too, and we have listen. I think I know a lot of stuff about Ecamm. I work here, but one of our moderators, Daniel, is the professional Ecamm. Break everything, fix everything, test everything, try everything. So Daniel's in there, super cool. If you have Ecamm questions, Paul and I will be in there. Katie's in there, a whole bunch of Ecamm fam in there. So all you guys that are brand new to Ecamm, if you run into questions, just jump in the Facebook group. And I can't believe I am forcing people to go to Facebook because me and Facebook would totally box in the backyard. Not at all. I can't stand. Listen, but it's just because they keep changing stuff and people are trying to do things. And hey, we moved this over here because we thought it was a good idea. No, the bucket is inside the fire. How do I put out the fire, Facebook? What are you doing? That's kind of stuff they do. So yes, please jump in. We have lots of people who are very well versed. And again, don't be scared of anything. You can start with the phone. Really, you don't need anything fancy. Please jump in and have fun. All we want to do is have fun. So all you guys that are trying to be serious, you came to the wrong place if I'm in charge because we cracking jokes. We're having fun. Ask Eden. All we do is send each other stupid memes every day. If I don't get a meme from Eden in 3 days, I almost want to send out an APB to make sure she's okay. I'm like, where you at? All right. So let me see. I got the link. Let me copy this. Copy. Bing, bing. And as long as this doesn't mess up anything, I'm going to double post this one. Payao. There it is. And let's make sure. I'm going to text that to Paul because Paul is the master of links. Paul probably has a Stream Deck button already made with that on there. I'm going to make sure that Paul has it. So we're good. And then, yes. Oh, my God. Valerie, I didn't know you was hanging out here hiding in the back. Valerie is an amazing singer, and so is her son. Actually, her son's better. He just made this really amazing video, and I played it 100 times. It is so good. You guys get to meet Val. She's awesome. Yes. Thank you, guys. This has been a blast. Just practice over the weekend. Just go in and press some buttons, break some things, get your trials started so you can get that first initial badge. Don't forget, we do have prizes, and these are going to be some of the prizes that we're getting out. And then your first prize is you can get a badge, and all you have to do is make sure that you're properly trialed or fully loaded as a user on either one of these. So make sure you go ahead and do that so that we can get you a prize. And one of your prizes is going to be drinking with me.
That's not a prize. That's a punishment.
Not at all. Not at all. This is super good. Thanks, Bonnie. This is amazing. Can't wait to get started. Guys, we will see you soon. Everybody have fun. And as we say in these streets, aloha. I don't know how to say bye in Australia. Bye. I'm sorry.